corporate events, I'm talking about companies coming to us to do stuff for them, product launches, dinners, awards, and things like that. That's a space we play into as well. Now, we also do conferencing, exhibitions, and stuff. Again, people come to us and we do that on their behalf, or we do that again for ourselves. And last but not least is experiential marketing, where we try to take products from companies to their target market and try to make them either sample or to buy. Now, our ability to achieve all this has been possible with great support, really, from the creative arts, music, dance, theater. Everything we do, we have to borrow from this space to be able to achieve that magic. Now, when I'm doing Ghana Music Awards, it's about music. So naturally, we play in that space. To bring the experience alive, I need to borrow from theater in terms of some drama. I need to also borrow from dance to bring alive the whole experience. So everything we have done over the years has been by kind courtesy of persons who have come out from this space. And we are always excited to partner with the School of Performing Arts to make this happen. Now, one thing that came across from my listening from the questions that people mentioned was that opportunities and platforms to be able to showcase your talent. Now, that has been the space that Charterhouse has played in all this while, always creating the platform. That's what brought about a program like Agro is something that Charterhouse developed for Western Union back in the day to sell Western Union to the Ghanaian populace. But then to make that alive happen, we needed to borrow from music. So that's where we created a platform. That's where the likes of the Obrafos, the Staminis, back in the day, those were the platforms that they got to showcase your talent. Because back in the day, there were no such opportunities. So we went into that space and we created opportunities. Now, the other thing that we also realized was that, again, how do we get people to showcase their talent in music, dance, and comedy? So that's what brought about Stars of the Future. So we went into that space to produce content to be able to give people the opportunity and the platforms to be able to exhibit their talent. So opportunities are there being created by Charterhouse for people to, exhibit their talent. Now, let me just come straight to a project we are about to unleash. Now, we're looking at trying to create opportunities for talent on campuses, university campuses across the country. So we're coming with a new project where we're going to every campus, and we are going to go into opportunities for people to show what they have in dance, in music, and then spoken word. And then we're adding comedy too as well. So all we're doing is that we want to create platforms for people to be able to exhibit their talent. Now, yes, the ultimate aim will be to win. But then if you don't win, because at the end there will be just one winner. But what that opportunity gives you is that it gives you the chance to harness it well. Because as the comments come, as the judges gives you the opportunity to better your craft. So before the end of this semester, you'll hear the communication. They're coming around the various campuses. So if you have talent in music, in dance, in spoken word, in comedy, there's a platform for you to take advantage of. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hello everybody. Hi. Guys, I've been sitting for too long. I hope you're not too tired. You're very tired. Oh, sorry. That's why I'm going to be very, very brief. Yeah, so like he said, I'm Lilian, the country head for United Nations Youth Association Ghana. You wonder what that is doing here. I'm also the CEO of Creative Entertainment and Events Management. And I was the president for the Models Union of Ghana. And currently the president for the Fashion Industry Association of Ghana. So I'm also into some creativity. I attended Full Sail University in Florida. It's a purely creative arts university where you learn how to turn creativity to profession as a degree. So you guys can write it down and Google it. Some of you who want to further your education in creative arts. Everything about creative arts is what they do. Full Sail University, and they give a lot of scholarships. Me being here as Robert liked to introduce me as for you and stuff, but I like the creative part. I was doing something with the models where I was discovered and I got my appointment to work with the youth. to model the UN agenda. And my only advice, the only advice I'll give you, the main focus is for you to stay focused on what you do and be consistent. Sometimes as a woman, you see yourself going through a lot of struggles and fights with men. Like I'm sitting here right now, I'm the only lady. I've always seen myself with a lot of guys in everything I do, but I have been consistent. You have guys fighting you, trying to bring you down. And I went to an all-girls school, Fancyman Girls, and most of you will know, it's a school that when you come out, you become very tough and strong. It's very true. So that was a very good foundation for me. Everywhere I go, no matter where I see myself, I want to be consistent, I want to stay focused. Don't allow yourself to be distracted. I was working with models, and models are the main profession that they learn how to act, they learn how to advertise, they learn how to market. People think that when somebody is a model, excuse me to say, people used to think that models are shallow, but it's just because of how most of them carry themselves. So as we go on the panel, some of you can ask me questions about the modeling industry and how it blends into creative arts, or I'm part of the fashion industry, and I'll be willing to answer any questions. Most of the things I want to talk about, most of them have said it all. Being consistent, mastering your games, networking, it's all very essential. So I'm open to answer any question that you want to ask. I manage talents, so when it comes to turning your talent into a profession, business, and how to make money from whatever your talent is what I do. So I will not talk too much so that you guys can ask me questions based on that line. And then how all that plays into the United Nations Youth Association as we bring in together youth across the country. And I'm not here for the UN, but in summary, what we are doing is encourage every youth to have a stronger voice. In 2015, the Secretary General declared, and it was adopted by the UN Security Council, that every youth must be encouraged in every country to have a stronger voice. So you see that from our social media, we are getting young people to become youth MPs. We are getting young people to become shadow youth ministers. We are going to be building district courts. So every decision across all levels, every domain that you see people making decisions for the growth of the country, we are getting young people to maybe that same thing. So that is what the United Nations is all about. Okay, you guys can ask me more questions and I'll answer.
In pain, not negative pain. As a student, I would sit here at the drama studio and watch amazing theatre productions by staff and by students. And I was always, excited, but, surprised and amazed at the level of talent and the quality of productions that I felt that the world must see, right? And so as a student, I was aspired to take up theatre, and I was lucky to study playwriting under the Professor Martin Owusu, and he inspired us a lot as he was here some time back, right? And after school, I took up theatre, do theatre productions there and then. But I guess just the short information I want to give is that there's so much potential in this industry. Last year, I was out of the country and I went to watch one of the most successful theatre productions in the world. For the 2 hours that I sat in that foreign theatre watching that production, all I could think was that we can do this. We can do this. This is nothing different from what, Uncle Terry, Birupe, Prof, and all of them have been doing here. And this theatre production that I went to see is actually the most commercially successful entertainment product in the world. This theatre production has made more money than the biggest Hollywood movies. And this is the Lion King theatre production. To date, for the 20 years that the Lion King has been staging, it has grossed over $8 billion in revenue. Now, if you want to understand what $8 billion means, the whole of Ghana's government is chasing $3 billion loan from the Chinese. And that can make a great difference in our country. So you can understand what $8 billion is, almost probably about 8 to 10% of our annual budget. So that, and it is more than all the amount we allocate to health, to education, to agriculture, and a lot of things in this country. That's just one theatre production. And guess what? That theatre production, The Lion King, was really based on an African setting. The music, the dance, the costume, everything was African. So I was just sitting in the theater wondering, hey, so some people have been able to take our culture and monetize it to this extent. What are we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, let's understand that we have come to a point where African culture is now one of the hottest things in the world. Africa is becoming sexy and a lot of people are looking forward to us. Netflix has come to sign a deal with Nigeria. They are coming to Ghana. Our music, Afrobeat, the likes of Shatawale Sarkodie, they are making it big. The next frontier for exploitation is our culture. As for our natural resources, the gold, the oil, they have already exploited it. It is not in our hands. So the question is, are we going to sit down and watch our cultural resources again exploited like our natural resources? And some of us are saying a big no. We Africans must be at the forefront of packaging, presenting our heritage and our stories first to ourselves and to the rest of the world. And for me, that is the big burden on us cultural entrepreneurs. So when I say I'm a man in pain, that's the pain that I feel in my heart. A pain that how can we as a people take hold of our story and look at the beautiful cultures that we have in Ghana, right from the north, the south, the east. All that we need is how do we present and package this and glamorize this to ourselves and to the rest of the world, and we can make big money. And for some of us, that is our lifelong quest. How do we package and present our heritage, our culture? And I think the opportunities are there. Unfortunately, as I have come to understand after doing this for almost 4 to 5 years, we may not be able to get the resources to create content as grand to compete as the rest of the world, because first of all, our people really don't understand this thing. So a Ghanaian rich man will rather be happy investing in real estate, have 100 houses, 10 cars, pure water factories and all of that, than invest in the art. And that's a big problem. And so it's extra work for us to get the kind of resources that we need to do the things that we need to do to put us on the big scale. But this is where, for me, I'm making my most important point, which is my last point before I hand over the mic. The fact is that some of us here will be successful. Some of us here will make a lot of money. The reason why our country is not changing is that we keep on doing the same old things and expect different results. If we come out and become the leaders of our society, the politicians, the government executives, the business people, and we do not have that burden on us to invest in our culture, our children will come and be complaining like how we are complaining. So nowadays, whenever I have an opportunity to speak to students, I tell them that, look, let us be makers of civilization. If the West is big today, it's because some people 100 years ago invested in their art, invested in their sciences. How many people in Ghana here invest in research? Most of all the research that we get, grants in this country, all of it come from abroad. One of the biggest grants we get from this school, if I'm not mistaken, is Melon. Melon is not an indigenous product. It's not because we don't have rich people who can invest. It's because you're drinking in New York. Like, that's not what we're thinking about. So I want us, the younger people, to say that mindset of our forefathers will not change, or our parent generation will change. But if we can understand the potential that this industry has for us, then when we become successful, we'll make sure that we invest in our country. If you go to all the big universities abroad, it's their alumni who give them money. Someone can just die and will his or her property to a school or to an endowment. So for me, I have made it a personal commitment that one of the things that I want to do is really come and invest back in our society. There's no reason why the School of Performing Arts, our theater, is still this way for the 20 years or so, when we are the ones who get more foreign direct investment to invest than any other person, right? But if the institutions will not do it, then we, the individuals, can do it once we become successful. So even if it's one person here who will become successful and comes back to invest in this department and in the talents here, we can go far. Thank you.
Robert, thanks for the opportunity. There is a saying, and I want to share with you. They say, until you know what you were born to do, you only be an actor in life. Who is an actor? Have you heard that before? Okay. So I want to pick it from the top. Robert introduced me as Rotary, so I'll stick to Rotary. I am the CEO of Business Drive. I'm the CEO of iPromo Limited, marketing communications company for the past 16 years. And Lily has walked into my office several times. I've turned her down. Me and Kafui, we are brothers. We've been working together. But why am I telling you all of this? As you're here, I see you do something that I am unhappy about. And again, I want to share with you. How many of you were taking notes or are taking notes? Let me see by hand. So I can say less than 20% of you are taking notes. My father said something and I want to share with you. He says the amount of knowledge you acquire on a regular basis determines the distance you need to travel to get to your desired destination. Does it make sense? Okay, so as I am talking now, if I ask you to recap what I say, you can't say even up to 10%. So the ideal thing to do is to actually put down notes. So the next time you go for forums like this, events like this, pen down something, take your notebook, small one, put down something. All the things Lily has said, all the things Kafui has said, all the things my brother JP has said, you put something down. All the things Chief has said, you put something down. And then you go back, you reflect. That is how you learn. Now, I want to share something with you again. I am into branding. I brand for a lot of companies. I brand for MTN, I brand for Unilever, I brand for Nestle, and I've done this over the years. Branding is one very important thing. You leave the school and you pick up a classification. What is your classification? You want to be in the art space, isn't it? Okay. Now, this is what I want you to do. And this is what I have told the Miss Ghana ladies. I happen to be one of the judges on the Miss Ghana board this year. And this is what I told them. You will need to look beyond being in Miss Ghana. So you will need to behave like somebody who would want to be Miss World tomorrow. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Okay, so you would need to look beyond the arts in Ghana. Let me give you a very sad story. As people who come out from school, we punish our governments. I'm not talking about NDC or NDP. We punish our governments. How do we do that? We all would want to go into the government space to be employed by government some way, somehow, or we want to be funded by government some way, somehow, with whatever thing we're doing. But what about creating a clique, small group of smart young people who will create concepts and take it to my sister and tell her, well, this is a concept we've created. Or take it to your senior. This is a concept you've created. Can you look at it and help us polish it? And then when you get out of school, you begin to implement it. Would it make sense? What it means is that you're creating some form of employment for yourselves. And guess what you're doing too? You created a network for yourselves. And you will go a very long way to succeed. As I sit here now, based on the questions some of you asked, I can tell you who somebody will become tomorrow. The lady who came to ask the question on stage, we were sitting there and we could identify that she would go far. First, she's got a voice. So basically what you will need to do is to step up onto the table and do what you've got to do. If you don't, other people will do it. Now, Nigerians have a market, a very huge market, over 190 million people. But guess what? They're evading 29 million system, and they want to pick a part of your system to add to what they already have. But guess what? The smart guys I know in Africa are in Ghana. Because I've attended conferences, and guess what? You sit at the high table, or you sit and you ask questions, and people ask you, which country are you coming from? We tell them we are coming from Ghana. Wow. Ghanaians are smart by nature. But guess what? We allow other jurisdictions to determine what we do and what we don't do. And it has to start with you. You need to change the narrative. Now I want to tell you something else. I want to talk about Rotary. As I go through my daily endeavors, I am guided by principles. I'm guided by certain rules I create for myself, certain rules that I would need to abide by. And what are those rules? I say to myself that in everything I do, I must peddle truth. I must make sure it is the truth. If it is not truth, it doesn't work. Now, we have a lot of people going out there creating situations as though they were true, or they're true, they're not. So as a human being who's coming out of a school, from an institution, you need to make sure you are guided by some level of truth. Be true to yourself. Be true to what you're doing. Be true to your profession. 2, you will need to ask yourself in anything you do, if what you're doing is fair to everybody. Is it fair to all concerned? If it is not fair to all concerned, you don't do it. And that is what institutions like Rotary teaches us. And 3rd is, does he yield goodwill, and does it bring friends together? Would it connect me to people? Does what I do make me connected to somebody? Would, for instance, Robert say, okay, this guy is doing something that is good, and I would need to connect with him. Is this something that would connect me to somebody? Now, the 4th and not the least, would he give me the network I need to succeed? You need network in everything you do. So as much as possible, I would implore you to connect to institutions that will help grow. So you know A, I know B. If we put A and B together, we can create something that will help all of us. But learn this about everything: personal branding. When you go into a space, what do people say you are? You are addressed by the way you are dressed, not the dress you're wearing, not what you're wearing on your foot, but the way you think, the way you present yourself. So put this at the back of your head. You are addressed by the way you're dressed. My name is Prosper Ashiquay. Thank you.
Now my question is to Charterhouse. I'm happy about your initiative, grooming talent. But then my question is, in as much as you'd want them to come with what they have, which they'll call their art or their talent, do you have any structure in place to ensure that at the end of the day, our culture and tradition is exposed, is revealed? Because Chief talking about that thing means that our culture is expensive, and we have a responsibility, because most of us are, till I studied certain courses in this school, I didn't know that there was a reclamation movement, and I didn't know how important our philosophies are as Ghanaians, as Infante, as Africans.
My question is directed to Mr. Ajati. I would like to know certain principles and standards that guided you to this far. Because as you said, you have to lay upon the foundation that has been laid. So I think it's so imperative if we get to know some of these things so we can also build upon it. Thank you.
My question is similar to what she just asked Mr. Ajiti. I want to know some principles and values that has brought you this far. And I know you face challenges through your line of work and all. Can you share some shareable challenges and then how to overcome those challenges? And then what one advice would you give to anyone who wants to go into the acting field? And then also to yes, please. Please, how do you talk about personal branding? Please, I'd like to know how you build a personal branding. Thank you.
My first question goes to Madam Kafui. Please, you said you are into modeling and fashion. You said you're into modeling and fashion, but here, most of the time when we talk about modeling, it's the first thing that comes into people's minds is women, girls. What about the males? Some males here are into fashion and modeling, but it's before they go out, like before they become big, it's very difficult for them. So I want to know how some of them. And my second question goes to Mr. Ajiti. This recently there were talks about how some producers don't pay actors and stuff like that. So I want to know how, when we live here, we can avoid those things.
As a student of the performing arts, I know I do not only have the talent as an actor or an actress, but I've come here to acquire skill. Yet still, when I go on set, I'm directing this to Mr. Ajiti. When I go on set, I'm treated in a certain manner that does not encourage me to continue to want to pursue this career or go in this direction, because when you go on sets, most times it's like we are divided into two different parts. We have the stars and then the extras. And meanwhile, we all know that in movies or in anything entertainment, without the extras, the movie cannot be made. And also to Auntie Lilian, what measures does Modriga, he's used to work with Modriga. Okay, what measures does Modriga have for freelance models? I want you to throw more light on that, because as a freelance model myself, I realize lately when you go for auditions, when you're not associated with a certain agency or something, you're usually being pushed to the side. Are there reasons why that is done? Yes.
My name is Monica, and before my question, I want to point out some facts. Fact is, there are people who always follow instructions their whole life. That's what they've been doing. And so they have no dreams, they have no minds of their own, they have nothing. So my question is, what if I don't know what I want to become? What if I don't know my dream? What if I don't know my talents? How do I work it out? How does it form a part of me because I know nothing at all? I'm just going to school.
My name is Akutavani, and I want to ask, most of the programs and initiatives you do are towards singing, comedy, dancing, and all of that. But do you have anything for content creation? And those who are content creators and polishing what they have and building whatever ideas they have? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The last but one person asked a question about not knowing what you want to do. Actually, it's okay if you're here and you don't know what you want to do. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. People have been 40 years and still don't know what they want to do. Now, personally, I started off in accounting. I went to IPS. But then after a few years, I realized that was not the thing I was going to excel at. So then that was probably when I was in my approaching 30s, actually. I knew that I wasn't going to excel at that. So then I needed to take a decision as to where I thought I could flourish. And that's what found me within the space that I'm in now. So yes, sometimes it might look like you don't know what you're doing or you don't know what you're about. But with time, as you keep researching, as you keep trying things, you find your niche and then you'll be okay. So that's for you. So the question directed at Charterhouse directly. Yes, we appreciate the value of culture within everything we do. So it's a conscious thing for us. So I mentioned one of the contents we used to produce, Agro. Even though Agro was created for Western Union, the agenda was to push the culture. So you realize that the conversation was in local language, and then it tried to speak to various things that affected our culture. So yes, we appreciate that. Now, one of the content we create is Miss Malaika. Now, Miss Malaika, as a feature, has a cultural episode where we try to get the delegates to appreciate where they come from and appreciate the things that concern them as a people. So yes, it's integral to what we do. Now, when we come to the music talent reality shows that we do, from Stars of the Future to the production of MTN Hitmaker that we do currently, one of the nights or the performances is African night, because we don't want to lose the originality of our music. So you're supposed to find, the contestants normally are supposed to find an idol within the music space that they admire and then do a song about them. So yes, culture is important. So it's something that we consciously do to make sure that we don't lose it. So yes, we appreciate that and we keep on pushing that.
It was directed at the talent event.
The talent event. Now, we always are looking at things that are relevant. And one earlier speaker mentioned about looking for creative people. One thing we do at Charterhouse, we believe that we are not a residue of knowledge. So we are ready to partner with anybody who has any idea that we think that works. So we are open to conversations. So if there is something, a content that we think that will push a certain agenda, and we have a conversation, we think can make it happen, we are open to such conversations. Okay, so as I said, yes, we might have something that does not speak directly to it, but does not mean that we cannot create opportunity to have those conversations. Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to tackle the gentleman's question. And when it comes to modeling, I first said that the act of modeling is not only walking on a runway. So obviously, if you're an individual who wants to market a product, we all know that it's not only women who model products. So modeling actually is for male and female. It's for both. But what the problem is that a lot of people want more female. So it's a profession that appeals more to women. That's what a lot of people think. But it depends on the type of modeling that you want to do. When you start learning modeling, for those of you who actually go to the agencies or you go to the school to learn, you realize that you are taught pre-acting skills. But modeling is an act. For you to walk from here to model a shirt, there's a way that you have to walk. There's a way that you have to pose to show that, no, for this runway, I want to model the spectacles. Apart from that, there are people who think that, no, I can't really walk in the crowd. So what they want to do is they want to really learn how to really stand and act to showcase the brand they want to model. So some of you guys who are shy, most of the time for the runways, the girls who want to come out and they are more willing to show some skin, to model different type of things. So it looks like the girls takes all the jobs. But for most guys, I'll tell you, try and do the photo modeling. These days, a lot of actors are taking our jobs. And I know a lot of actors professionally who started out as models. What happens is that when they start learning the pre-acting skills, that aspect of modeling, they realize that, oh, so I can learn how to even do some poses or say some things to market the product and do advertising. So then they branch into that area. And then they stop calling themselves models. But most people who you see in commercials learn pre-acting skills whilst learning models, and they become that. It's all part of the creative art space. And that's why now Moduga has been registered and recognized by the Creative Art Council. With regards to what Moduga is doing, Moduga is the Models Union of Ghana, is doing for freelance models. The truth of the matter is that Moduga was formed to bridge that gap. We realized that there were becoming two groups, the models that have managers and agencies, and the models that maybe have gone through training, and then they want to be independent. Some models are very strong, they are business people. But then, I don't want to contradict myself. One thing that Moduga is trying to do, we encourage all talents to get a coach or a manager. You can't be a creative art person and think that you can manage yourself. Most models don't want to take that discipline. If you finish training, or some of you even learn on YouTube, if you don't network yourself, or you don't come into the profession and find yourself in that space, how do you think that you're going to learn how to model, or you think that you are just pretty and you know how to walk? What's happening is that people are going to exploit you. People are going to call you and put you on billboards. I know a model that charges dollars to be on billboards. I know a model that travels outside this country every 3 months to do the job. I know models that are here, and all they do, they put them on face of, sorry, Miss Malaika, face of this, and they don't even get anything, and they get excited in the fact that they are always put on pictures as face of this fashion show, fashion week, and they don't get anything. Okay, so what Moduga did was that we are going to put all models together and all the agencies together, and Moduga was going to serve as the umbrella to cover all these people and educate everybody, so that you're an individual. Maybe you've gone through a very bad experience with an agency, and that's why you don't want to be affiliated with any agency. The Moduga can give you the regulations, the guidelines to deal with clients. So, I mean, like recently we had the Ghana Next Top Model. It was all over on the TV, the news. People were, I'm no more than get presidents by going involved. People were like, oh, the models were not paid anything, the competition and all that. But you see, the truth is, we've sent out a lot of notifications. If you're a model, if you are doing photo modeling, you are doing adverts on TV, if you are on the runway, make sure, even if the show is free, sign a contract. That is compulsory for the modeling industry. So if you go out there and you do anything, you don't sign anything. If I come to you and I say the show is a charity show, I have to make sure that you sign to that and you agree. After the show, if something goes wrong, you come to the Models Union, we look at the contract terms. If you don't do anything, you don't have a manager, you don't have an agency, we will not take care of you. If you don't take care, you rather get suspended for 3 months, because we are going to correct the industry. But a lot of girls and even guys are going through a lot of things. And then there was the last question about, somebody asked about not knowing what you want to do. You're just going to school. I'll say this. When I finished in Fansman Girls, for some reason, all I wanted to do was become an air hostess, work in the plane and meet people, because me, I like socializing. And my father said, hell no, not in my house. You're too young to meet people and work in the plane. And that time IT was coming, everybody was learning computers. So they forced me to learn IT. I wasn't happy about it. So they sent me to London to go and learn. It was all my friends, we had a gang, and we were all at the Ghana Airways Training School. I was forced to go and learn computers. I came back, I had a job with Snapchat. I was still not content. I was just lucky, I had a chance to go to the US, and I realized that everything I see myself doing is creativity. I like to meet people, I used to dance salsa with Robert. I like to do different things. So eventually I checked myself back to school to study entertainment business. I like business, and I realized that I enjoy the entertainment industry. For everything that you want to do, just make sure that you have passion for it. So if you think that your parents say, just go to school, forget about, don't be angry, just sit down quietly, acquire a first degree, but then look at your passion. What do you see yourself doing? And develop a business mindset towards that. Even if you see yourself being somebody putting woods together, I'm being very honest with you. There's a carpenter that's making wooden chairs at home, and it's progress. Just develop a business mindset, use your passion and develop it, and get a coach to guide you. That is the key to my success story. Being consistent.
Thank you. I just have to comment how really brilliant and eloquent all those who came to ask questions sounded. Please show some love to yourself. And you only see this in the School of Performing Arts. You go to other places, political science, you go for a lecture, they come and ask questions, everybody's sitting down, and when they come and talk, they are Toto and Papa and so. And I have to say that, look at the number of ladies who came up here. You go to other places, ask questions, you don't even see ladies at all. So I'm really very proud of this school, and I want you all to say, show some love to yourselves. That's what the department does. It gives you the confidence. Yeah, so I want to put Charterhouse on the spot. And mind you, I love Charterhouse. Charterhouse was the first organization that gave me my first poetry performance job. I was paid 150 cedis in somewhere around 2010 thereabouts. So, and ever since, I have a good professional relationship with Charterhouse. Their biggest entertainment events, Ghana Music Awards. Fantastic event, and I think the Charterhouse is one of the biggest things that has happened to Ghana's entertainment, no doubt, regardless of the criticism, the programs they've organized, the opportunities that they have given for people. But whenever I watch Ghana Music Awards, I sit there, I'm like, come on, the performances suck. But performances suck because our musicians themselves don't invest in performances, right? So all they need to do is get a gig, come and jump on stage like R2Bs. You watch foreign musicians. What does R2Bs do? They just come and jump on stage. There's no choreography, there's no synchronization, there's no artistry. And that's the truth. So that's how we should challenge ourselves as professionals. How do we bridge the divide? How many of you watch Beyonce's Homecoming? You watch the kind of work that went into it, and you know that these are serious professionals. You watch Rihanna going on tour, even people like, Chris Brown and all of that. You see that challenge, the amount of work that they put. How many of our musicians put that amount of work? When you see our musicians performing on stage, do you see hard work? No! Oh, Master, anyway, my proposal to Charterhouse is that right now, Ghana Music Awards is almost gone. The reason why our performances suck is that we don't understand the importance of creative directors and choreographers. And the next year, 2021, come to the School of Performing Arts. Sit down with Uncle Terry, Aristides, Baby Quay and Co. Tell them that we want you to creatively produce all the performances. Now, when you watch BET Awards, don't you see the seriousness in the performance? Don't you see the theater in the performance? Can't we do a similar thing? Now, will it cost you other 50K people and the format to hockey? So, I know we are all laughing, but seriously, I just want to throw a challenge to Charterhouse, and I think that will take the music awards to a different level. Just let professionals from the School of Performing Arts, they will use the students. They can even do it as part of production participation if the head of department agrees. Every performance for Ghana Music Award 2021, let us choreograph it, let us direct it. Let the musicians come here and rehearse with us and see where the music, see what people will say. So that at least there's some kind of theater, artistry. That's my challenge. And I know that they will do that.
Actually, you are so on point, it's very funny. It's a challenge that we're trying to work with within. Now, the challenge is this: you hire a professional and you sell your vision that, okay, I want to achieve this. So you need to bring this to the table to make it happen. But one thing that some of our musicians don't appreciate or don't have is humility. to understand that, okay, I'm not good at this, so I need this support. So that's the challenge you're trying to work with. I can give you one example. We did a show with, I had Ohiba Kesi as one of the performers. Now, before I engaged him, he was reluctant. And I asked him, he said, I can sing, but I am not a good performer. He can't dance to save his life. So I told him, come to the dance studio here, have a conversation with somebody, they'll teach you what to do. He came, paid money, he was here for 2 weeks, and he killed the show. That was somebody who was ready to learn, and he came to where he needed to learn to make it happen. Trust me, Charterhouse is filled with all the creative people in the world. But if the people, the talent, are not ready to play ball, it makes everything a bit difficult. But as you said, I think probably at a point we might have to put our feet on the ground and say, either our way or the highway. But then the conversation will end up on social media, which is a conversation for another day.
Please, when you're coaching, say Ajite said it too.
Okay, so in answering one of the questions, I think that one of the guiding principles that has worked with me was an experiment that was done in a class. And the whole essence is that it is not just about getting things right, it's about being truthful. And so that is why, so for example, the quality of process will give you the delightful result. Most of the time we're so looking ahead, trying to get the result, paying less attention to the process, paying less attention to the quality of work we put in. Now, during this experiment, there were 2 sets of groups. Now, team A and B. Now, in each group, there were 2 persons. Now, the whole direction was that one was to slap the other. Now, of course, it's a class thing, it's drama, so of course we expect choreography. Okay, so with one dishing out the slap, goes ahead, and then before it makes contact, the receiver sort of feigns hurt and pain that is made impact. Just as we see in our movies, with action movies where people are punched, we know it's not for real, but their expression and reaction is so believable that it's made contact. So group A, action, and then he dishes out the slap. Of course, it's choreographed, and so opener dodges the slap, but it's so close, and then he reacts immediately. He's upset, angry, and then starts reacting and charging on to this other guy. And then the instructor says, cut. Now, just before team A, team B goes on with their process, the instructor goes behind the one who is going to, one of the guy who was supposed to dish out the slap, and says, go for it. And so the chap looks at the instructor and like, are you sure? And the instructor said, yes. Of course, the receiver is, is not aware of this. And so he's taking his stand, he's ready for action. Just when the instructor says action, if the action didn't even land, this guy dishes out the slap. Pow! Now, of course, the whole class is dead silent. And the expression on the face, this is caught on camera, the expression on the guy who has received the slap is shock. You can't act it. No, you can't. So what happens is that there's a shock, and then look, he doesn't even react to the pain yet because the signals haven't been sent to his legs. There's a shock, and then he turns to the instructor like as if to say, is this what you said we should do? No words, but we can analyze what he's thinking and what his body is saying. And then he doesn't get a feedback from the instructor. He turns to the guy. It's moved from shock. Then he goes to curiosity. But why did you slap me? We're not supposed to make impact. He's not getting answers. And then the signals goes, Charlie, it's painful, it's painful, it's painful. And then his shock, curiosity changes into anger. Before he goes to the point he wants to take action, and then the instructor says cut. But you see, for the attention to detail and process has given us what we want, not necessarily the impact of slap, but the process that we go through that we take for granted. because the first group obviously didn't pay attention to the process and the beats. And therefore, that's how we feed into the work that we do. And when we get roles, we jump to conclusions without working it out. How would it really feel if this was real, if it had made impact? And that's why sometimes some of our key legends, actresses like Grace Norte, Grace Omabo, when you have a scene with them where they have to give you a smack at the back, be prepared it's going to come at you hard. And all they'll tell you is that and if it doesn't, it doesn't hit your nerve, you won't react naturally. It will be painful, but I mean, the natural reaction does come through. So it's attention to detail and being focused on the processes, the quality of the process, and not paying attention necessarily to the result. Once the quality of processes is of good quality, you will get the end result that you want. So that has been one of the guiding principles, and it's not as limited to acting, of course, in every other field. Of course, somebody touched on what's happening to our industry when it comes to producer-actor relationship. And I think that we've had a very, very typical example of what happened recently with Kafui Ajololo coming out. And it is unfortunate, but once again, it's a test case, it's an example for us that we learn from these experiences. And I believe strongly that just as what's happening in the industry, the music industry, people are beginning to make an impact in terms of, the returns, income, but then people forget too soon that you have to put something away. The whole investment culture we don't have still. Easy come, easy go. It comes in, boom, and we spend. We build this lifestyle that we have to maintain in the eyes of public, and so we can't even repeat our shirts and shoes and bags because a blogger is going to come out and say that we are broke, and so what? So let's be careful that we do not fall into those spaces where we have to impress and live a certain lifestyle that we cannot meet on a daily basis. We only cry in our bedrooms and come smiling at the camera, so we should be very careful. The other question I've just... Oh yeah, so challenges, it's a human institution, so definitely they come in their numbers, sizes, and shapes. For me, being when we play the gender card, I'm a guy, so naturally I would have more ladies, wanting to be in my company, wanting to get to know me. They're the good ones, those who have ulterior motives, those who have other agendas. But you see, you keep your eye on the ball that you are not just an individual who is making an impact for just self-fulfillment, but you represent a full movement that is taking our industry to another level. And so be focused on the work that you're doing, because what I want to do is making sure that in some years to come, I have transferred the baton or that legacy to you or to those after you, that they can also take it to another level. And if I'm not focused and I mess up, then everybody's going to say that, say a client, the same old, record playing again and again. So I have this knowledge of what has occurred in the past and what we should not repeat again, and therefore reinvent it rather than repeating the cycle. Pretty much, I think that's it.
So I want to take it from the question asked to the Models Association of Ghana, which question a gentleman asked earlier on. Models Association of Ghana is an association. Musica is an association. And you can only subscribe to them for them to regulate you. Otherwise, every other thing you do outside their jurisdiction, outside their scope, is something you do on your own. So Musica, for instance, cannot create a situation that takes care of you if you're not part of it, because they are not an authority, they are an association. It's just like UN Youth Association. It's just like GUNSA, which I was the regional president of some years back. So once you're part of the association, then you fall under their umbrella, then they can regulate you. And the question about not knowing what to do, even at this point, a lot of people still don't know what they're doing in life. I started life, was selling in a departmental store, and I went to school, came back, and then I hit radio. I loved radio. My passion is to do media.
I was a radio presenter for 6 years. I went through 3 radio stations, including Kafui's own at the point in time, City FM. You know, all I was trying to do was to understand who I was, which will bring me to the last question that was asked of me, personal branding. There's nothing wrong with doing a lot of things. It is just with a quest to arriving at who you are and what you want to do. I'm here, I'm an accountant by profession. I work for MMRS. I consulted for them for many years. You know, I set up their whole accounting structure. I did that for TV Africa, I did that for TV3, where's TV3 is called? Managing International, so many institutions. You know, so what you come across to people as is what they describe you as. Now, how do you personally brand yourself? Some of the things you put on social media can determine your brand. Now, everything comes up and all you do is to insult. One artist that has properly branded himself because he knows his personality style is Shatta Wale. Take it or leave it. Shatta Wale knows that he's a noisemaker and people love him make noise. So what he does is to get on social media and make noise and you pay him for it. That's all he does. So guess what? Identify what you're strong at. There is no human being that has no identity. There is no human being with no classification, even at this stage of your life. Now that you're here, you know that you're very good at something. Keep working at it. It might not be what pays your bills now, but just keep working at it. You want to be an actor, an actress, you want to be a musician, you want to be this, just keep working at it. But just be doing the side jobs. Eventually, you will get to meet that person who identifies you, discovers you, and makes good out of you. I hope I have answered your questions.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate all our speakers.